The following program is a podcast1.com production.
Your healthy radio addiction starts now.
Power to the people!
The Laura Ingraham Show.
Silver and gold, silver and gold. Everyone wishes for silver and gold.
President Trump is getting ready to sign his first major piece of legislation, a sweeping overhaul of the tax system. The Senate approved the historic legislation overnight, 51-48.
On this vote, the Senate recedes from its amendment and concurs in H.R. 1. With further amendment, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is passed.
The House must now take one more step before sending it to the president.
We want to give you, the American people, a giant tax cut for Christmas. And when I say giant, I mean giant.
Every Christmas tree.
Nobody likes a skinny Santa. Oh, I didn't mean that about the president. That's horrible. Hey, everybody. The Republicans finally did something. So that's good. People are asking us, why does this always happen at the last minute? Why can't they pass tax reform in July? Why can't they do it in October? I mean, they had been preparing for a tax cut and tax reform for decades, right? You would think that they could get this thing done before the last minute, before everybody rushes out of town. But Raymond reminded me that this is how they extract last minute concessions. And this is how they get little goodies stuffed into the bill and into their Christmas stockings. And well, this is the Republican Party we have, and it is a big accomplishment. There's no doubt about it. And not everybody's going to get a tax cut, but most people will. 80% of Americans are going to get some type of tax relief. That's good. The corporate rate being lowered. That is significant. Like Trump wanted it to be 15%. He started there because he knew he'd never get it. But he wanted it to be 15%. What is it, 21%?
It's 21.
Yeah. So Marco wanted it to be 23 or something, or 22 or something. But that's all right. I mean, he knew he wasn't going to get that. So this is the Republican Party we have. It's not pure. No, I guess nothing certainly in Washington is. And it's not going to be everything that all of us wanted. But boy, did they need this. And I predicted months ago that they would get it done because they had to for their own survival. 855-40-LAURA, as Christmas is now only 5 days away. Don't you love going to the post office at Christmas, which I have to do later today? Oh. It's so much fun. It's fun to get in that line. And the Postal Service employees are so cheerful that
this
you deal
time of year
with their lifetime pensions. They're so happy to serve you. And then they say, couldn't you go to the automated kiosk? And I get up to the counter the other day and I say, well, if I wanted to be at the automated kiosk, I suppose I could have gone, but then I wouldn't have had this lovely conversation with you. He looks at me like, who are you? And get out of my postal office. Well, this is one of the things you have to deal with but it's, why do I leave things till the last minute? Well, you run out of time, but I don't have any leverage. You're like, there's no leverage. I'm not extracting any leverage. There's just no time to do anything. But does this make you feel more optimistic about the Republican Party? Last night on the Ingraham Angle, we talked a lot about what this will mean for the administration, and specifically how in the new year the president can turn this moment into a rebirth and a expansion of the conservative populist agenda of his. And I mean expand it in big ways in areas of the country that are hostile to him. And we laid out, with some of your suggestions, I have to say, we laid out the 3 or 4 things the president can do to defy the critics once again, move his numbers above 35%, if you even believe those numbers. I mean, I'm not even sure the approval numbers for this president matters that much, except I think when we look at turnout for the Democrats, we want we don't want them to be so angry and so hopped up that they can easily turn out their voters just in resistance to Trump, regardless of how good the economy is. So I think he's got to be careful there. The rules, everyone said the rules don't apply to Trump and the polls are wrong. Yeah, I mean, I get it, that the polls probably oversample Democrats. But I do think that with what he's accomplished and all that he's done in 1 year, for a guy who has dementia, as MSNBC kept trying to tell us, for someone who's been in there 1 year, a political novice has gotten more done in 1 year than I think any president in the modern day, dealing with this type of dynamic in Washington, certainly. I can't think of anyone else who got more done. George W. Bush, of course, had 9/11. He also got his tax cut done in the summer of 2001. But then Iraq took over. The whole thing was out the window, pretty much. But I mean, this guy did the Keystone Pipeline. 22 regulations for every one added have been slashed. 22 slashed for every one added. He's obviously got the tax reform done. He's gotten all these judges on the circuit court. He got Gorsuch through. He's going to get another Supreme Court nomination in, I think, June of this year. Could get two. I mean, just transforming the courts alone, especially after we see these judges that were appointed by Obama. These judges, such as that, what's her name? I keep thinking of Peter Strzok's last name. The Tanya Chanuk in the D.C. District Court. Look up her name. Chanuk. I think that's it. She actually wrote a short opinion saying that illegal immigrants have the right to abortion in custody in the United States. They have the right to get abortions, including underage children. One's 17 and the other one's 19.
Tanya Chutkan.
As I said, Chutkan. By the way, she's recused herself on a lot of Fusion GPS cases because she used to work at Boys and Schiller, David Boys' law firm that did work for Fusion GPS. She has her hands all over all these scandals. And when I started looking at that opinion and her decision, well, what else do illegal immigrants get? Do they get? Well, I guess they can get the earned income tax credit if that's even it still survives after this legislation. But the whole thing is just ridiculous. By the way, Nancy Pelosi yesterday, do we have that sound? Went crazy about the tax reform bill. The woman is completely unhinged. Hey, it's Armageddon. Then she went on. She said Armageddon the other day. I don't know how it gets worse than Armageddon, but it did.
It's daylight robbery. And every iteration, the GOP tax scam becomes even more cowardly, outrageous, dishonest, brazen theft from middle-class families, giving money from them to the richest people in our country and to corporations. It's a monumental con job.
Wait a second. We got to play that.
This is corporate theft.
Theft and corporations. Okay, let me just say this. Give me your phone. Give me your phone. Give me your phone.
You're going to be infected if I give it to you.
Raymond Arroyo has apparently the need for an ear trumpet.
What?
Because the man has the most annoying ring on his phone, and for every tweet and text he gets, it's a symphony of annoyance. Bing. No, it's not Bing. Bing would be nice. Yours is every time you get that. No. And Raymond's like, I'm sick. I'm sick all the time. Okay, I'm sick all the time. I got stomach issues. I got my other issues. You know, it's like, I don't feel well. Men, when they're sick, forget it.
Did you read the report
Pathetic.
that it takes us longer to get rid of the virus? Did you read this medical report?
Good, because we have to frankly
that
do
you
a lot
women
more.
bounce right back.
Right.
But we are burdened with extra illness.
How many women out there think men who get a cold act like babies?
Oh, please.
Men who get colds. Oh, I'm so sick. I have the chills. I'll give you the chills.
I was about to say, last night I did have the chills.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because my angle was so good.
Oh.
That's because...
No, that's the trimmers, not the chill.
Things got out of hand. Well, things got a little out of hand last night. How many of you watched the Ingraham angle last night? We're going to have a free-for-all on the show. I could tell this is going to be a free-for-all. We're going to talk to Vice President Pence, both on this show and on the Ingraham angle tonight, so you're not going to want to miss it. Dave Brat's going to join us. He had a dust-up with Katie Kerr. Tur, not Kerr. Oh,
easy there.
Oh, jeez, that's terrible. Katie Tur. I always get her mixed up with that other MSNBC person. Who's that one I get her mixed up with?
Casey Hunt.
Katie Tur and Casey Hunt.
Too many Caseys.
Casey, I don't know who they are. But anyway, she had a big dust-up with Dave Brat yesterday, which, again, I think it just demonstrates how positively desperate the left is. At the end of the year, the last thing they wanted was Trump to have a big legislative victory. The only thing I could imagine happening now is Bob Mueller issues a subpoena for like Ivanka Trump to come testify, or I don't discount the possibility that
December surprise.
The Grinch over at Mueller's office might drop something before Christmas Eve. Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't know. I get some bad vibes coming out of there. But the Democrats were hoping that was what they were going to get for Christmas. And that Mueller was going to get the smoking gun, and Vladimir Putin's chief of staff would sneak to the United States and say, yes, in fact, we were working with Donald Trump the entire time, and he was hoping that we were going to drop all these emails that we were able to get very easily on the DNC and in the WikiLeaks. In Trump, he gave us all of the right tips for how to steal these emails and then give them to our friends at Wiki. No, but they're hoping for something like that. But they don't, so far they haven't gotten that. They got a big goose egg. That Andrew McCabe was on Capitol Hill for 7.5 hours. Did he get a bathroom break, or did he have to have one of those catheters inserted? The deputy FBI director, he was there. He was sweating through his suit, I imagine. The fact that he's even still in that position is beyond me. Jeff Sessions' recusal, I still say this. He gets coal in his stocking from me for that recusal on the Russia thing. I love Jeff Sessions. Everybody knows that. But he gets coal in his stocking from me for the recusal. He never should have recused himself. Huge mistake. And then he should never put that weasel Rod Rosenstein in as number 2. He's a weasel. Sorry. He looks like a weasel. His body language. Can we find a body language expert for the Ingraham angle? Not the one that O'Reilly used to have. I never was all that wowed by her. But we should get a body language expert. I totally believe in body language. Like, your body language tells a lot about you. So right now, Raymond is resting his chin on his hand in a very, I'm sick way. So he's indicating.
By the way, I found the Time magazine piece where indeed there are studies that show that men suffer from colds worse than women. Our immune systems are slower to react to the invading virus.
I was sick last week, and I only took 3 days to get better.
Well, goody for you.
But my stomach now has been hurting for 3 days.
See, God will get you.
For that
That's called a little payback, Arthur.
So, all right, 855-40-LAURA. Did you watch the Ingraham angle last night? And specifically, did you catch the segment with the first segment was Scott Bolden and Sean Duffy and Joe Trippi?
Is Duffy and Trippi, are they still under the table?
They were scared. Actually, I think they got scared. But it was about race and President Trump. And then my segment with a, quote, trial attorney in Boston who was defending this judge's decision to stop the Trump administration from preventing 2 illegal immigrants from getting abortions in the United States. Go home to your home country. You want an abortion, go home to your home country. And if it's illegal there, you can go somewhere else that wants to oversee this. By the way, one of the women's babies is 6 months in the womb. 6 months in the womb. We showed a picture of what a 6-month preborn baby looks like, by the way. She didn't like that at all. So did you see those segments, and what was your reaction? 855-40-LAURA. We'll take a break, come right back, and remember, Pence is going to join us, also Dave Brat. Don't go away.
Ringle, ringle, coins when they mingle make such a lovely sound.
Today, we're giving the people their money back.
The tax scam becomes even more cowardly, outrageous, dishonest, brazen theft from middle-class families.
We will have so much winning that you may get bored with winning.
Thanks to my wonderful sponsors and your support, I'm glad to say that we can provide this podcast at no cost to you at all. As a loyal listener of my program, please consider testing our sponsors because they're the ones who actually cover the cost to produce this daily show. So if you're a dog lover like I am, how about giving your dog, your best friend, a fresh, healthy, and nutritious diet? When dogs eat well, they live longer and happier lives. I'm here to tell you about NomNomNow.com, which cooks the world's best dog food. It's made fresh in the USA and delivered right to your door every week. Nom Nom Now's customized recipes cook fresh in our kitchen, delivering healthy nutrition you can actually see. Switch to Nom Nom Now and your dog will have more energy, a shinier, softer coat, and a longer, better life. Nom Nom Now really is the best food for your best friend. And right now you can save 50% on your first 2 orders of fresh, healthy dog food when you use my code Laura at NomNomNow.com. That's code Laura and save 50% on your first 2 orders. NomNom now.com. And code word LAURA.
This is our moment. This is our time.
What did it feel like to hold that gavel? And you slammed it, we all saw it, and so hard that you lost it. What did that moment feel like for you?
I got a little carried away. You can see that. I was very excited. It was a very emotional time because I used to be, Jack Kemp was my mentor, and I've been working on this issue pretty much my adult life. Because I just feel so passionately that this is going to help get people from welfare to work. It's going to get people higher wages, better jobs. It's going to put the American economy in the lead in the global economy again.
Paul Ryan needed a win, that's for sure. Donald Trump did what Congress couldn't do. He stripped the Obamacare mandate out of that behemoth, nightmarish piece of legislation that Barack Obama ran through in 2010. And his people had the idea with Congress to strip it out through this reconciliation process, and they did it. That was a gutting of Obamacare, in addition to other regulatory moves they're making at HHS, because the incoming Secretary of HHS, Alex Azar, will be using his pen and his authority, his cabinet authority, to do even more work to undo the red tape and the massive strangulation to the free market that has occurred through HHS regulatory moves. And that's going to be fantastic news in the new year. So all in all, I'm very positive. I'm very positive about where we are. Think about where we were 6 months ago, and then think about where we are today, both the economy, foreign policy, a clarity in national security strategy. In my lifetime, I don't remember any president, not Obama or Clinton certainly, who had delivered a new national security strategy in his first year and gave a speech explaining it. In my memory, I don't recall that having happened. Certainly didn't happen with George W. Bush. Let's go to Jeff in Texas. Jeff, welcome, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I really enjoyed that section last night where those two fellows, Trippy on one end and I forget the guy's name on the other end, were leaning so far away from the guy in the middle. They were almost out of the picture frame.
Well, James, do we have some of that cut up for our audience? All right, we don't have enough time to play it right now, but well, Sean Duffy was gonna just jump under his desk.
I thought he moved back to Wisconsin in the middle of that segment.
He's on a satellite shot suddenly. Well, it got a little heated, but I like Scott Bolden, actually, the guest who was on with us. I actually like him a lot, but you can't be saying Trump's a racist on my show. You're not going to say that. I'm not going to let you say that and not slam back, which is exactly what I did. We come back, Dave Brat, on what the House and the Senate have accomplished this year, specifically whether he thinks the economy will soar in 2018, or is this not enough? Don't go away.
No one really knows how the game is played, the art of the trade, how the sausage gets made. We just assume that it happens, but no one else is in the room where it happens.
You know who this bill is going to help? Corporate special interests, the wealthiest Americans, and yes, the Trump family. My colleagues, if it looks like a scam, quacks like a scam, it is a scam. Can you vote for this bill with a clear conscience? Hell no, you can't.
I arranged the meeting. I arranged the menu, the venue, the seating.
What is it quacks like a scam? Oh my goodness.
Mixed metaphors.
Jeez. Put that metaphor in a butter churner. What the heck? It's a butter churn.
Butter churn.
Butter churn. You're listening to your healthy radio addiction. Who is that? Who's that bloviator? I can picture him. He looks like Bill Donahue from the Catholic League. Who?
Joe Crowley.
Oh, Joe Crowley. He looks like he sounds like he's just come from the local bar, down like a couple of pints, mixing his metaphors terribly. Merry Christmas to everyone. I want to thank everybody for listening to this show all year long. Many of you have listened for many years. And also, of course, for supporting the new show on Fox, The Ingraham Angle, 10 p.m. Eastern, and Billionaire at the Barricades, which a lot of people are now just getting around to reading it. But I hope you get a copy, pick up a copy over the holidays or before Christmas. Order it from Amazon. Send it to one of your family members or friends, and tell them Laura sent you. I know you love the book, and lots of stories from my own political history that you haven't heard before. My meeting with Richard Nixon, my time with Reagan, and Justice Thomas, and a lot more. So you're not going to want to miss that read. A lot has happened over the last year, and we've had a lot to be complaining about at times, with the failure to repeal Obamacare and kind of the bungled rollout of the travel ban, and getting off on the wrong foot with Mike Flynn, and then firing Comey, and the Democrats' resistance, the protests in the street, the Women's March. There's been a lot to kind of grouse about. But my goodness, at the same time, there's so much to be thankful for. And this president, through all of it, kept his eye on the prize. His eye was on the American people. The goal is to make your life better. He's not perfect. And, he's made some missteps. There's no doubt about it. We all do. But after a year in office, he has done more than most presidents that I can recall in recent memory. And we'll see next year how this tax reform plays out for the average working person in this country. But I believe that we're going to bring more capital back to this country. We'll have a higher rate of manufacturing. We'll have more jobs, and we'll also have higher wages. And if that happens, I don't think any rumblings from Bob Mueller or Megyn Kelly's continuing to parade out supposed sexual harassment victims are going to change the calculus for the American people. Joining us now is one of the heroes of conservatism, our friend Dave Brat from Virginia's 7th District, who, of course, has been a voice of reason throughout this year and process with the tax reform. Dave, it's great to have you on. How you doing?
Hey, Lord, great. I was just in a breakfast with Ron Maxwell, who did Gettysburg and Gods and Generals and has been a fighter on DACA and immigration. He said to say hey and say hey to the audience. So,
love Ron.
Great day.
He is a fantastic guy. Let's talk about the tax reform. There were missed opportunities. There were missed opportunities in the tax reform, clearly. I think we could have had a simpler bill and probably had more clear tax cuts to individuals and so forth. Now we have how many brackets? 7 brackets? 9 brackets? Yep. 7, I think. Yep. So give me the good news, and then perhaps what might not be so good in the new year if we don't play our cards right.
Yeah, well, the good news is when we go to conference, that usually horrifies some of us, right? When you go to conference with the Senate, it's not a good track record. They base planned it on health care, et cetera. We gave them a budget 90 days ago, 12 approached bills. They've done nothing. But on this one, they did get some things right. And, I always the basics are what you look at. So a single mom's going to get over $1,000 back. The average family's going to get $2,059 back, right? $70,000, family 4, 2 kids. $2,000. That's a lot of money. And then the more important than the money, right? And I taught economics for 20 years. I taught kids that couldn't find a good job over the past 10 years, right? So the main thing you want is success for your kids, where they're going to have multiple job offers. And so how do you know if that's going to happen? Well, the stock market 70 all-time highs. The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates. That shows you that not only is the stock market going up, but the real economy, which is more important, right? The underlying economy and GDP growth is strong. When they're raising interest rates, which they haven't been able to do, right? We've been dying to get interest rates just back to some normal, sane level, so seniors can have some retirement income and compounding interest. And now that's happening. So we're getting back to normal. It's rocky roads, like you said, right? It feels bumpy at times, but President Trump has stuck to it. And the key is also the deregulation. He's deregulated all the crazy environmental rules, the financial rules. Every part of your house you build every piece of that house is regulated. He's changing this, and this, and it's producing tremendous results already. The Fed says we're growing at 3 right now. The mainstream media has been wrong on everything, right? What'd they say? They said as soon as President Trump is elected, the stock market's going to crash. Nope, totally wrong. All record highs. They said you can't get above 2% growth, right? Mainstream media, the left, Democrats, the new normal, be pathetic like Europe, right? Just, take your place in the global system and grin and bear it. No, we're exceptional. We don't accept that. We're Americans. We're growing at 3. The Fed says we're going to grow at 4 next quarter. So, I mean, it's just tremendous strength. It's all good news, and it's all like you, right? You are one of the most positive people. It's all psychology. Once the American people in business feel positive and see hope, and once the kids see hope out there in their future, great things happen, and that's what makes this country so great.
Well, I think that for all the criticism that this president has received, the relentless attacks in the media for small, niggling little things, and the hounding of him and his staff on a daily basis, I think it's amazing that they've been able to accomplish as much as they have. And the economic team, the trade team through Bob Lighthizer and Stephen Vaughn and Wilbur Ross and Peter Navarro. I mean, this really is the finest cabinet that I can recall since Reagan. I mean, think about national security. We have H.R. McMaster, who is a real military expert. People don't like everything he does, but he's a real military expert. They had Susan Rice. Think about that for a moment. Just that alone. So we've had I think this past year we've seen Trump rise to the occasion, and I think next year it's time to ensure that we have more happy voters, Dave. I think the public is getting weary of the constant chaos. They're getting tired of it. And I think they want some peace and just a sense that things are getting better. And if things are getting better, I think Trump and the Republicans are going to do just fine in 2018.
Yeah, well, and that is the key. The good policy is going to put us in good shape for that. But the left right now, the resist movement, they don't. We just lost Virginia. A vote came in yesterday. We lost a delegate, so it's 50-50. We had 2/3 of the seats went to 50-50, and those elections were not on policy. The left has hijacked K-12, higher education, and it's just this rage against the machine right now that's going on across the country, and that wave is going to continue. But you're right. If we keep doing success after success, the American people, it's going to come to an end. But before we get lulled, we got one more piece, right? And I hope people go to follow me at DaveBrat.com, et cetera, and the folks you believe in. But DACA is coming up again, right? January 19, buckle your seatbelts, because that thing, there's going to be tremendous pressure. There was already pressure gathering on. Some people are putting in a clean DACA with no reforms whatsoever. And we need to end chain. We need to get the E-Verify in place and the visa lottery just for starters. I got a bill to do that. But that piece is going to come back with tremendous pressure and on the president again. And so I hope he'll make a call right after we get past the great news from tax reform. But he needs to come out in public and make a loud call that is not going to happen without significant immigration reform where the numbers go in favor of the U.S.
Yes, and I have made it my mission, and my sources at the White House have indicated to me that they will not accept anything close to a clean DACA, any clean DACA, amnesty. They're just not going to do that. They're going to require chain migration, lottery end. I hope E-Verify, and definitely the wall. And it shouldn't be just a down payment. It should be a complete commitment to build the wall. And I hope they do the entire RAISE Act. Mitch McConnell said on my show, Dave, I thought it was a really important step. He said he supported the RAISE Act, and he's completely in favor of doing the RAISE Act. Now, To me, that's it. The parents can't stay of these so-called kids. Their grandparents can't be here. None of that can happen. They all have to go home. But if they want that DACA amnesty so bad, then they're going to have to. Then they're going to have to. They're going to have to give up these other little bennies that they've been dining out on for years. I'll have your closing thoughts on the year now, Dave. And again, we just appreciate you so much.
Yeah, well, year end. I mean, let's remember Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and everything that made this country great. Right, the Judeo-Christian tradition, the rule of law, the free market system, which has made us incredibly rich beyond our comprehension. The conservative movement is in favor of all three of those. And think about it, Hillary and the left, they oppose all three, are under assault. And so I want to just urge everybody, keep the faith, but take action this year. The left is taking action.
Oh, big time.
They're funding Democratic candidates with small dollar thing. Republicans aren't doing that. They're writing op-eds. They're starting blogs with the young people. They're getting the college kids involved. We have everything to offer those college kids, right? We have jobs and a positive, bright future to offer them, and the left cannot match that offer. And so I just urge everybody, take action, follow me if you can, follow other fighters who you like, support us as best you can, and just have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, great New Year, enjoy the holidays, enjoy your family, but come back ready to roll because we need you. We need you on board.
That's a great way to end it. Great message from Dave Brat, Congressman from the great Commonwealth of Virginia, which we need to bring back fully into Republican conservative territory. We're not going to bring it with old Bush Republicans. We're going to bring it with a new style Republican a la Donald Trump and the conservative populist movement. Dave Brat, Merry Christmas to you and your family. We're going to take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. The Vice President will join us also on television tonight. A lot more on our plate. We'll get through it together. This will be a Happy New Year. Stay with us.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel.
I just want to tell you something. Watch for the Grinch, because the Grinch won't steal Christmas, okay? Okay, do you have any adults there with you?
Man, I'm sorry. This is my son playing on the phone.
No, it's fine. It's fine. He called in saying that the Grinch was trying to steal his Christmas, so it's definitely been the most interesting thing that's happened as far as 911 hang-ups for me.
Your heart's an empty hole.
Sounds like something Nico would do.
Your brain is full of
Right? It sounds like, you know what Nico's doing all around the house? He's grabbing like old magazines and wrapping them up and saying, "To Dima, Merry Christmas." I'm thinking, is this a practical joke or is this? It's the thought that counts, kind of, right? And then he takes like Dima's guitar and he tapes onto the wood of the guitar, wraps it up poorly, of course.
Oh, no.
And then he puts it under the tree. To Dima from Santa. I said, Nico, this is a gift Dimitri already received for Christmas last year, and now it's damaged because it has Scotch tape all over it. And I wanted to give him a gift. Like, well, maybe take the money that you stole out of his wallet last week and you go buy a gift. He is a klepto. I'm not kidding you. He's lifting. He has, what's it, sticky fingers? Yeah, he's lifting money. Maria said, I thought I had $40 from my last birthday in my wallet. Nico's like looking up in the air with his eyeballs. The Russians have a way of stealing things. They take things away from you. You do want them. Susan Collins says, she's saying that the media is sexist because of what they said about her support of the tax bill. It's about time she got a little criticism. All she does is get lionized by the media. Now she knows what the rest of us feel like. Let's listen. We have I guess we don't have the audio. Okay. She said, I cannot believe that the press would have treated another senator with 20 years of experience as they have treated me, the Maine senator told reporters at the Capitol. I imagine it is on audio. They've ignored everything that I've gotten, and there have been stories after stories about how I've been duped. How are you duped when all of your amendments get accepted? The more moderate Republican has often won praise from liberals for backing Planned Parenthood. An abortion in every stocking, is that it? Well, she now, again, These people think they're loved by the press because they're used by the press. They don't love her. She has an R after her name. They don't love her. They use her. Now she knows what it's like to feel used by the press. And it should teach her a lesson. Come over to the conservative fold, Susan. Most of your maniacs really are conservatives at heart.
Your healthy radio addiction starts now.
Power to the people!
The Laura Ingraham Show.
Unto us a son is given. Unto us a child is born.
These girls actually wanted to, when they learned that they were pregnant, they wanted to get abortions. So they weren't looking to have babies here. They wanted actually just to get the abortion taken care of once they learned that they were pregnant.
Taken care of, it's a baby. Okay. It's a baby, and in one case, the baby is preborn at almost 6 months of age. Do you know what a preborn
and that
baby
was
at 6 months of age looks like?
That was due to obstruction, and nobody's talking about late-term abortions here, Laura. And that was due to obstruction by the. Excuse me. That was due to obstruction by the administration. The girl originally wanted it at 10 weeks of age.
Life.
Now there was a Texas judge. Now people in Texas vote for the judges in Texas.
That's what a baby looks like. Hold on. You're talking, but I want people to know what's on the screen.
So I think that we really should stick to the law, because showing pictures like that doesn't go. I don't have a monitor.
Okay,
Laura.
well, guess what? When you get home, check your DVR. Look at that baby in the face. Look at that baby, and you tell me that baby. No. I'm going to have to cut your mic. I'm going to have to cut your. No, I'm going to cut your mic if you don't listen to me.
That was some pre-Christmas cheer. Taylor, did you see that? Oh my gosh. Did you see that segment? I got a little too annoyed. I should have just let her continue to tell half-truths about what our framers would have intended.
It was powerful, and
Okay, the facts are 2 illegal immigrants are in our custody, a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old. And she made this big deal. Well, they're in the refugee office custody versus the ICE custody. Who cares? They're in our custody. They shouldn't be in this country. They came here pregnant to get abortions. One is now almost 6 months pregnant. Late second trimester. And they want us to facilitate their abortions. Now, they're going to get private money to pay for the abortions. Blood money, thank you. Private money to pay for their abortions. So this lawyer comes on and says, well, this is the law. We owe them health care. And I was trying to say what you couldn't hear. Maybe we have another soundbite. That, so now a baby's a disease. Well, to these people, a baby is a disease. So while she was on from Boston, I had my producers in New York pull up a photo of a preborn baby who was born prematurely. Let's see, to state it correctly, born prematurely at 6 months. Mm-hmm. And it was a little girl. And she was beautiful. A little tiny, preemie. But, most go on to survive. Many without any lingering health problems. That's our technology today. That's how much we've learned about prenatal deliveries. Premature deliveries, I should say. Get my terminology straight, Laura. But you get the point. So I keep hearing, well, the judge said, well, the judges did Dred Scott, too. The judges allowed segregation in the country for years and years. So now the judges are masters? We can never question judges?
This girl needed to have an abortion.
A Texas judge she didn't need to have an abortion. No. Okay.
A Texas judge appointed a guardian ad litem and determined.
Mute the mic.
Okay, but what we need to do is stick to the law, though. Okay. It makes sense.
Now, the law makes sense. So when you get home, and as a human being, we were all former embryos, correct? As a human being, I just want you to look at that face that we just showed on the TV screen. I know it's inconvenient. There she is again. Now, stop. I want
again.
you
You're showing things that I can't see. You're showing things that I can't see.
It's okay. I didn't show you a hamster.
And I'm happy to look at it, Laura. But for right now, what I would like to do,
I showed you a baby.
That is
a baby.
That's completely fine. But I think that you're getting completely sidetracked here.
It's not a hamster. It's not a piece of tissue. It's a baby.
Okay, who's getting sidetracked? I'm sticking to the facts. It's a baby.
Speaking of getting sidetracked, and this is a good intro to this story that is terrifying.
What?
Hate to scare you at Christmas time.
All right, let's scare me.
The Weekly Standard has an editorial. GOP could be courting disaster on Obamacare and abortion. This is how it reads.
Right, I heard about this.
Mitch McConnell said Monday that on his to-do list this week is passage of bills to prop up Obamacare. In a December 1st letter, a colloquy with Senator Susan Collins of Maine, whose vote on tax reform he was desperate to get, the Senate Majority Leader expressed support for passing additional legislation funding Obamacare by the end of the year. Here's the problem with that. What's much worse than spending billions more on Obamacare is the possibility that an Obamacare bailout could create new funding streams to fund elective abortion. The bills that Collins once so desperately passed.
Planned Parenthood devotee. She
not,
wants to get back her cred with Planned Parenthood.
And those bills do not currently include the Hyde Amendment, which prohibits federal funding of abortion.
So now the illegal immigrants can get their abortions paid by the
and
tax
Americans. Everybody will be abortions for everyone.
Should our country become the abortion magnet of the world? So if your country doesn't allow abortions, does Mexico now allow abortions, Raymond? I think they do now, right?
I think they do now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So other countries still don't in Central America. I believe, look at Guatemala and Honduras. I don't think they allow abortions. But that having been said, there are many countries that don't allow abortions. So is that now, we're not only going to be a magnet for MS-13, and we're going to people who want to come here and have abortions. And then they know that they're going to be taken care of. Then the baby gets aborted. They don't have to go home because, oh, poor babe, poor young woman. And because now she needed an abortion. That's what that guest said. She needed an abortion, like it's a disease. 855-40-LAURA. Do you think I was right to say cut her mic? I probably should just let her talk. I shouldn't. I'm new at this. Ireland now might legalize abortions. Fantastic. It's a travesty. It's a complete travesty. But this is where judges are. This judge is an Obama appointee in the district court in D.C.
And in Mexico, it's state by state. Some allow it, some do not, abortions. So it's in their
under
interest.
18, you probably can't get one without your parental consent.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably better than we are on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Mitch McConnell better fix that one. I can tell you that. He better fix that one real quick. We got to call over to his office and find out what's going on with that.
But this is going to be a bum's rush to get this bill done.
They made that mistake, and they had to vote at 12:47 last night, right?
Right. So he already botched it once. This was supposed to be done. As it is now, the House is going to vote on it today because the Senate had some parliamentary remnants that they weren't supposed to have in the bill. So they had to pull those out, create a new bill. Now it goes back to the House.
Embarrassing. And he kept saying, well, it's not that big of a deal.
No,
this has happened before. Well, it's all right. It's happened before. And the main thing is that Americans are going to get tax relief. No, that's where we are. 855-40-LAURA. Well, when guests do that, I mean, do you guys all find that annoying? When you're saying something and they continue to talk over you because they don't like the question. That's not conducive to a conversation. But I think it's not at all getting sidetracked to identify what we're about to do with these illegal immigrants. What our government will facilitate. A late second trimester abortion. Now, they'll say you delayed it by 2 weeks because it was challenged in court. Well, yeah, that's ACLU is representing them, by the way. Both girls in different states in the United States. Well, most of the time they just go get abortions and they figure it out, right? They get freebie abortions somewhere, but they happen to be in custody. This is another thing. Why does it take so long to deport someone from the United States? I still think this is a joke. They come in illegally, they're found, it's immediate return home. You get a quick immigration hearing in front of a judge, but you don't get a jury trial. You don't get any of that, obviously, but you get an immigration court hearing, and then it's determined you leave. This shouldn't be people get to stay for 5 years while they challenge their deportation. They're illegally in the country. You have diminished constitutional rights. You don't have a right to like start a newspaper, get First Amendment rights, get a right to have a gun, Second Amendment right. No. You get some modicum of protection, as we know, because you get you get to go to public school and you do get basic health care. You do get that as an illegal immigrant. But the idea that you're entitled to have facilitated abortions for 17-year-olds? By the way, they were also told they could have a sponsor, find a sponsor, and if sponsor wanted to do that, they could, but they wouldn't do that either. They want the government to allow her to be transported to an abortion facility and have it done. 855-40-LAURA. How many of you liked that moment on TV? I enjoyed it thoroughly. Tom, we were howling after the show, though. Tommy, cut her mic, Tommy. Poor Tommy. Tommy's like, oh, we can't do that. Well, I didn't know that. We kind of did cut her mic at the end. Then her mouth was moving and nothing was coming out. That was preferable for her. I'm glad people come on and disagree, but just talk one at a time. It's just easier that way. We also had an interesting exchange on Trump's opportunity in the new year to build his movement, especially with African Americans. And when we come back, we'll play that for you. Things got a little out of hand between Joe Trippi and Sean Duffy. Was a man named Scott Bolden, who's come on our show many times, a big Dem. And we'll play for you what happened last night. It was a doozy. And we have lots of votes coming in on what the animatronic Trump looks like at the Hall of the Presidents at Disney. We'll share some of those tonight on the Ingraham angle, but people are still voting on Twitter and on Facebook. So you have to tell us what Trump looks like at Disney. They're clearly that was done on purpose to make him look weird. Doesn't look anything like Donald Trump. Nothing like him. Listen to this. In Connecticut, a school in Connecticut invited Ivanka Trump to speak. And guess what? Parents were upset because they wanted to have the opportunity to pull their kids out of the class before she spoke. We'll get to all of that coming up on the Laura Ingraham Show. 855-40-LAURA.
The best gift of the year to me, the one I hold most dear to me.
A baby is not a disease.
That is why a guardian ad litem was appointed to the child who was pregnant.
Tommy, and I can't hear her. I can't hear her talking over me. Okay, guys, this is my one thought. I understand what you're saying about what the law is. I understand that. But we're talking about a human being, and we're talking about an illegal immigrant who has violated our laws. Okay? That's all I wanted to say. We're not talking about hair splitting of the Fourth Amendment or Roe versus Wade. We're talking about not a medical condition. We're talking about a baby. That's all I wanted to say.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. With the kids.
I'd love for Donald Trump to go to Detroit and Chicago and L.A. Right. One, he'll never do it.
If he'll have a respectful hearing.
But he can't. He can't.
He can't. Why? Because African Americans don't want to hear from him?
No, because he doesn't have a message for them. He's offensive to them. He's done nothing for them. He talked about an urban agenda. What urban agenda?
What is your urban agenda? Handouts?
What's his urban agenda? No, it's not handouts.
Then what is it? An economy that creates jobs?
No, I want full employment, job training.
Well, that's what we're getting. Do you want more illegal immigrants in your
because of Donald Trump? Go to those black communities and say that.
Do you want MS-13 in your community?
No, I don't, and I don't want gangs in my community.
They're out.
And I don't want racists in my community.
They're out. So Donald Trump's a racist. You back on that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, now that's it.
He is. He equivocates.
I figure I won the argument when I bring him to the conclusion that Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump's brought unemployment to a historic all-time low for African Americans. Never happened before. And he tried to give Obama credit for that. And then he's like, well, Obama was handed the worst economy since the greatest. So I said, now you're blaming Bush? Now you're back on Bush and Obama. This is ridiculous. No wonder you guys can't get any traction. 855-40-LAURA. Let's go to Tommy in Pennsylvania. A lot of people calling in about the animatronic Trump, what he looks like at Disney, and also that segment where I muted the woman's mic in Boston. Go ahead, Tommy.
You absolutely did the right thing. I directed television news for 13 years. That lady knew she was losing the argument. That's why she just kept talking over you. So I know you were kind of iffy if you did the right thing. In my opinion, you absolutely did the right thing. That lady knew she was losing the argument. So that's just my opinion. If anything, you probably should have cut her. You probably should have cut her mic just a little bit earlier. But that's probably it.
Here's the deal. I always want people to be able to finish what they're saying. However, when I put the picture of the baby up on the screen, again, what are we talking about? Let's fully inform the viewers. This is not a piece of tissue. This is not a blob. This is a preborn human being. And once you see the photo, just like at abortion clinics, once these women actually see a sonogram, they usually will turn their thinking around, oftentimes, because it's undeniable when you see it. It's the truth. I don't care what some life tenured judge put on the court by Obama, who used to work for David Boies, thinks. I care about what I'm seeing. 5 fingers on the left hand, 5 fingers on the right, 10 toes, 2 eyes, and a heart, beating heart. It's a human being. Ridiculous. 855-40-LAURA. We're getting lots of responses. Some of the responses to the Trump animatronic are they're a little over the top. I mean, people say they look like Hillary. Although, is there any truth to the rumor that Disney was preparing for a Hillary animatronic because everyone thought Hillary was going to win, and they just kind of redid the cast of the clay or whatever they make it out of.
Yeah, the plastic, yeah, rubber.
And then they just changed it to Trump at the last minute. I mean, I don't know if there's anything to that. It does at a certain.
Disney is
Disney.
They spend millions and billions of dollars on these attractions. So, I mean, the idea that they're going to reuse a Hillary doll is
I think now that Rupert Murdoch is how much percentage of Disney does he own? 20%? 25? Now that he's a 25% owner of Disney, they should redo the ride Soarin' and do it, and the Soarin' should go over the swamp in Washington. Oh, there's the HHS. Oh, yeah, those are the 5,000. It goes over the Golden Gate Bridge and the Grand Canyon.
Soaring over California.
Yeah, it would be soaring over Washington, D.C., the swamp. Oh, my gosh, that would be hilarious. Here's the bar where Ted Kennedy was drunk under the table with Chris Dodd back in the 80s. Oh, there we go. I love that ride. I think that and the Cars ride in Anaheim. Soarin' was closed in Anaheim when Anaheim Disneyland.
Oh, really?
But it was operating in Orlando. I love that ride, but I love the Cars ride. That's my favorite ride. The kids that you can race each other in the Cars ride. Oh my gosh, I wish I could have done. I should have done that like 3 times, just
a fun ride
over and over again. Oh, it's so much fun. But entering that area of Disney, that's turned into a hellhole. That parts of that neighborhoods around. Remember, it was all orange groves when he bought that land, right, Raymond? He should have bought it all. Yep. Oh, he had the money to buy it all. Well, he regretted it, right?
Yeah, he bought what he could.
It's turned into tiendas and check cashing stores and bail bondsmen. Nasty. It's a nasty area. No. This is really grimy. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, happiest place on earth. That's the way I just almost got shot down the road. Happiest place on earth. It is awful. Right around the neighborhood as you're driving through to Disney. Aren't I just a bundle of optimism?
Christmas cheer.
Positivity.
Hi, this is Ben Domenech, the host of the Federalist Radio Hour. We're a daily show coming to you 5 days a week from Washington, D.C., where we interview our nation's top journalists, politicians, authors, chefs, economists, entertainers, and more. If you're looking for a contrarian discussion on news, politics, or culture, give us a listen and subscribe at podcastone.com, the new Podcast One app, or at Apple Podcasts.
Your world goes on, but for me, my world is over.
The American people have it right. Permanent tax cut for the rich. They have it right. This is the worst catastrophic bill that has ever been passed by the members of the Republican Party.
I'm a little surprised the Democrats all decided voting against middle-class tax relief and making American businesses more competitive was a smart vote. And that's an argument we're more than happy to have going into the fall.
The Democrats are going to be in full-on resistance in the new year. This is all they have. They've tried pretty much everything. They've tried throwing billions and billions and billions, actually more than a billion, trillions, of stimulus into the economy. They tried with stimulus and son of stimulus, and they did they tried to help the car industry with the car bailout. They did TARP. They've done welfare. They've done subsidizing people for having kids out of wedlock thing. They've done all this stuff. They offered increased coverage and food stamps, and they did the special insurance for the kids. They've done all this. They've tried to do mentoring programs with Hollywood celebrities. They had 8 years under Obama. And meanwhile, we still had black unemployment, Latino unemployment at unacceptably high rates, far higher than, of course, white unemployment, Asian unemployment. And yet Trump has done the best so far on just that one metric of the unemployment rate. And despite what some of my guests said last night, Donald Trump was able to, bring people and businesses, beginning to bring them back into the United States, recapitalize businesses here so we can keep jobs here. If businesses come back here and decide to stay here and not go over to Asia, then that means more jobs for Americans, even with robotics and all that. You have more jobs. And we want everybody to have a job, or as Republicans said today, can't remember who it was, it would be nice if your kid graduated from college and had a choice, 1 or 2 jobs to choose from. Not just, I have to go work at the strip mall. Maybe you had a couple of jobs to choose from that would help pay the bills and help pay off your student loans. So I think the resistance is going to be strong and harsh, and we don't know what Mueller's going to do. We don't know what's ultimately going to come down the pike on that. We'll see how this tax bill plays out for the regular people.
Well, that'll be the telltale sign. How does this end up shaking out for the American people? Do they have more to spend? Does it truly unleash the innovation and the investment from the business community? Because look, corporations are getting a big tax cut here, and if that pans out, the president and the Republicans are going to do great in the midterms. If it doesn't, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Well, I think that's right, and the polls now will probably not look exactly the way they're going to look a year from now. Donald Trump needs to get those numbers.
Yeah, because these polls today on this tax bill, NBC, Wall Street Journal, 24% of Americans think the tax bill is good.
That's a bad storytelling on the part of Republicans.
Yep. Opposition to the bill has popped up 10 points in CNN's polling since last month.
That's like how they screwed up the Obamacare narrative. Remember, more people supported Obamacare. That more people ended up supporting Obamacare after the Republicans got in charge of Congress.
But they are committed to selling this message now that it's passed, and they're going to have to go out and sell it. It's all they have. I mean, this and the accomplishments of the president. But as you said, they need to now sell the happy, positive narrative, not the gloom and doom fight. You're in charge now. You've got both branches of government, so you've got to move forward now. But look, it's a sunny picture when you look at the stock market, when you look at job growth,
what's odd?
manufacturing,
I'll tell you what's
all that's
odd.
up.
This is what's strange, is that the right track, wrong track numbers are still bad.
Now, why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it is people get their news still from traditional outlets, and they're hearing just one note. You're not getting any relief. Trump's a nightmare. Trump hates, minorities. His family are just going to benefit. NBC did this thing where Trump's family benefits from they actually focused on who benefits, and they said Donald Trump's family, thumbs up. They actually did that on, I think it was MSNBC yesterday.
Yeah, they did a lot of reporting on that. But again, anyone who has a corporation, you're going to get a tax cut. But we knew that. That was part of the deal. And look, this plays, if you talk to almost any economist, they will tell you, you can't be competitive when you've got China with very low taxes and America with a 39% corporate tax. You're not going to get investment in the country that way. So this makes America competitive. Doesn't mean it'll win everything, but at least it's competitive. You can get in the game.
Well, Drudge has this thing that 8 in 10 Americans feel stress and anxiety. I'm surprised it's only 8 in 10. Are afflicted by stress during the day, sometimes or frequently.
During the holidays or all year?
I think it's between December 4th and 11th.
Oh.
17% say they rarely feel stressed. That must be nice.
Who are those people?
While 4% say they never do. What would you say? The 17% who say they rarely feel stressed, while 4% say they never feel stressed. That's 21%. How many people think they have young kids? 21%.
Right.
Those are probably people who are just retired and have enough to enjoy their time.
50 and older, particularly 65 plus, are much less likely than those who are younger to say they feel stressed.
That's what I'm saying. Well, they're grown up. They're like, life is not, the world does not revolve around them.
Right.
And they know they don't have much time left, and they got to enjoy the time they have. You're less stressed when you have your health, I think.
Well,
what
thanks.
causes you the most stress? Just don't infect me over there across that table. What causes the most stress for you in your life? Or how do you rate? Are you frequently stressed throughout the day? Sometimes stressed throughout the day? Rarely stressed throughout the day?
Frequently.
Or never?
I would fall into the frequently
I'm frequently.
category.
I'm definitely frequently.
You're tilting. You're off the charts. What's above frequently?
But it's my
constant.
It's my normal though. So it's not really a.
So it's factored in. It's not stressful.
I don't know. It's like
you're so stressed that there's no stress at all.
Yeah, it's like the tax reform was already baked into the market. My stress is already baked into me.
So it doesn't matter.
I don't think
so. You
so.
don't feel it. It has no effect.
Well, I do have a burning stomach right now, but I don't know what that is. I had some Pepto a little earlier. I don't know what that is. It's been burning for a couple of days. Do you think that's
called
bad?
Stress.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. 40. That's exciting radio. My goiter hurt. So you got 44% who say they feel stressed frequently. 35% say they're sometimes stressed. 17% say rarely. 4% never. Who are these never?
Very Zen people.
Oh, they're Buddhists. They're the Buddhists in the group. Or the nuns, the Buddhists. Who else?
I don't know. I know some pretty stressed nuns.
You do?
Yeah. Well, they work
fun.
hard. Some of them work hard. You know, particularly the teaching orders. You imagine you got, 30 kids.
No.
That's
I just
high
go
stress.
into the classroom to volunteer, and I look at the teachers and say, how do you do this? How do you do this? Well, the first grade? You go into the first grade class. First of all, we did not speak in first grade when the teacher spoke. They're jabbering away. You know what? The kids aren't afraid of consequences. All right, Mrs. Reese in Eastbury Public School. I think her name was Mrs. Reese, if I remember. She would whack that ruler down on the table. Oh, that got your attention real fast. And it wasn't even a Catholic school. It's a public school. Whack it down. It's like a sound of a whip. And you got your attention real fast. How many people feel stress frequently, sometimes, or rarely, or never? Where do you fall in, and why are you stressed? I don't know if stressed is the right word for what I am in thinking about it. Is it stress, Raymond?
You give me stress. What do you mean stress? You're like a stress compounder. You're a relay station of stress. No, I'm sure you feel none of it. It hits everybody else.
I'm a switching station for stress.
Right.
So it's like it comes to me and I then deliver it to you.
You are like the Star Wars. Remember Reagan wanted to build the Star Wars thing to SDI.
Strategic
You're
Defense
the
Initiative.
SDI of stress. You just send it out to everybody else.
It's a force field.
Yes, the Death Star. You're the stress star. That'll be in the next movie.
Well, people are stressed about health. Like if you have a serious health condition, a loved one has a serious health condition, and money.
I take it's not empathy for my cold here. That you're.
Oh my God, the tissues, the stress.
It's a bad head cold.
A wastebasket, Taylor, so he doesn't have to put it on my desk so that germs will live for weeks on that.
I'm going to build a little Mayan temple over here.
855-40-LAURA. I want to hear from you. What causes you stress, or are you not stressed at all? I think it's, okay, here it is. It's money.
Yes.
Health.
Yes.
And relationships.
And deadlines.
And kids. And
children.
The show starts in 10 minutes. Where's the scripts? I'm not really stressed about that much. I know it's going to get done. It's part of what gets me going. If I just had nothing to do in the morning, I'd be like, what do I do now? What do I do now? This is the kind of job where you have to be on a lot. It's not stress. Stress is if you're fleeing your homeland and you don't know what your next meal is going to come from and your kid can't eat.
Right.
That's stress. But I love these kids in high school. I'm so stressed.
Oh, please.
Why are you stressed? Oh, I have finals and, my mother won't let me use Instagram and Snapchat account got shut. I'm stressed. I hear that about kids today are stressed. We are so spoiled in this country. We are spoiled and we don't know what... This is my kids say, I'm stressed out. I say, I'll give you stress. I'm stressed out. Oh, please. 855-40-LAURA. We'll get your calls on this, a lot more coming up.
That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go.
Christmas is stressful now. I think we've lost the actual meaning of it.
Even in my family, we have a typical fight. I mean, half of them are Republican, half of them are Democratic. I mean, everyone's an idiot, so they all think their opinions are right. So everyone gets on each other's nerves.
In every store.
Well, they do say that stress multiplies at the holidays. I'm reading a piece from The Guardian. Festive stress, why the Christmas season can be anything but merry. And it talks about the festive workload. You have to put in more time. Getting everything from the school closures, worrying about relatives coming in. What are you going to cook for the holidays? Of course, gifts, presents for the family. It's all too much. And the expectations of the holidays. And other things. The family conflict. Remember, this is, in some people's cases, it is the only time, or maybe the second time of the year, where they all actually come together. And that can be stressful. Craig in Iowa, are you stressed?
Well, yes and no, and I don't mean to sound that way, but I've been retired from the Army after 22 years, for 10 years, and I've worked about 6 different jobs. I have benefits, which I have learned in the last 10 years, meaning the medical benefits and things of that nature through my wife and then through TRICARE for Life. I'm working for FedEx right now and enjoying my life immensely. But I think
and you're not stressed with the FedEx delivery load, Craig?
As long as each package gets delivered and it gets to the right address and the right people, I take it one at a time and move on each day. And basically, that's the way my life has always been. It's pretty orderly. I gathered that from having been a police officer and a fireman before I went in the military, and then. But my wife has the school stress every day of being a school teacher, and she's been doing that for 22 years. And so I try to not tell her that I try to tell her I'm really stressed, and so she won't think I'm having fun out here. And but
are you delivering now, Craig?
I do. I took a little bit of a 5-minute break, but I'm delivering. I'm having a great time, and it's opened my eyes to an awful lot of things out here with people that it's all about, do you feel like you can provide in whatever shape or form, where it's medical or money or whatever. And unfortunately, I think, just like James Carville said, I met him at a hotel about 5 years ago when I worked at a hotel in these last 10 years, and he and his wife, Mary Matlin, and they said, it's all about the economy, stupid. And I don't mean it to sound that way, but it is exactly what it is. It's about security and how you feel day in and day out about being able to provide. And if you can provide, then, I think it makes it an awful lot easier. And
it gives
I've been doing that all my life.
It gives you peace. Well, I like your perspective, Craig, particularly at the holidays, taking everything one step, one package, one event at a time. That's all you can do. And Mary and James are dear friends, and they, too, know how to balance their life out. You know, they party hard and they work hard. That's how we do it in New Orleans. We're going to take the rest of your calls in a moment. Stay right there. The Laura Ingraham Show continues. We'll keep talking about stress and maybe how to relieve it during the holidays. Stay tuned.
Thanks for listening to the Laura Ingraham Show podcast. Download new episodes every week at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.
Podcast One has new shows on our new app. Check out all the cool features to help you explore our exciting new programming, like America's Lakers podcast with Jay Moore, Sessions with Randy Jackson, So Random with Corinne Olympios, Attack Each Day, The Harbaugh's podcast, Not Just Sports with Susie Schuster and Rich Eisen, and Sound of Success, the Dick Enberg podcast, as well as your old favorites like The Lady Gang, Steve Austin, Shaquille O'Neal, and Adam Carolla. Get the new Podcast One app in the App Store, Google Play, or podcastone.com.